Shabbat Shalom again, everyone. Mauricio, your message was actually very brilliant. And I had to read it again a few times to really get the essence of it because there's a lot in it. But the thing that stood out to me, and I would like you to um, uh, explain it from your perspective as well. I hadn't thought of this before, but Adam really would still have to work the land in the garden. But he wasn't to subjugate it. He was to serve it. And if we abuse the land, it will react. It is a living being, but it's not our master. We are, uh, we are its servants. And, but I would like you to kind of simplify it for us, please, because it's really a interesting treatise, and I'd love to hear your perspective on it.
Okay. Okay, good. Shalom to all of you. Well, the very first thing I would like to emphasize is that during that exposition or presentation, um, which I attend because of my job, it was really interesting that how people uh, twist what the Torah is saying.
How they
Okay,
twist?
yeah, they twist because it's like um all that the perspective is that probably the rest of the religions of the world have more ethic about uh, the care of the nature.
Right.
And, 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 and the point is that the problem is when you read not within the context of Hebrew. Okay. Um, and yes, according just taking that verse literally and translate it, which means to translate to 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 betray the original context, okay, in original words. Yeah, it says subdue and dominion. So that gives you an idea that obviously the anti-Semitism that is growing is like saying your God in your religion is telling you to destroy the planet. Okay, so that's why I gave the the work to clarify, and because obviously I was not agree with that position uh, in trying to say, okay, the rest of the American religions, they have a great respect to to the nature. Okay, and you know the problem is that we are not talking about the very same because what the rest of the Americans uh, in, in our territories, what they never talk about responsibility. Okay? And you cannot give dominion, and you cannot give to empower a person who has not responsibility.
Right.
And also, you cannot give the administration uh, 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 of something to a person who is not capable,
Right.
who doesn't have the skills, who is not prepared, who who doesn't have the knowledge. Okay, and so in God knew since the beginning because um until the man was created, what happened to all the nature? Well, life started to sprout. Okay, but inside the whole life is is sprouting around the whole planet. Okay, there was there was chaos. Okay, why? For example, imagine a world with a lot of dinosaurs, and with a lot of these big animals
Right.
eating a lot of things. Okay, what happened? Okay, well, the destruction of the nature. So God needed someone to rule all these animals and to serve these animals inside the the earth, to rule them. Okay,
Right.
not to destroy them,
Right.
which is completely different. And there was something that is very interesting and very well documented, and it was something that these progressive persons, there are a lot of wolves. Okay,
A lot of what?
wolves, the animals who
Oh,
seem to
wolves.
be,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So in this was something that happened already in United States at this famous national park, Yellowstone. Okay,
Yellowstone. I saw that documentary. Amazing.
yeah, and you know that the point is that the man is like all wolves are very beast. They are dangerous and they eat a lot of poor animals. Okay,
Yes.
so they decide to reduce the wolves. Okay,
Right.
and what happened, because you already saw the documentary. What happened to Yellowstone?
The
They
whole
start to
balance,
have a lot of problems. There was
whole
an
balance of nature was thrown out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why? Because, okay, now there's no predator. Now it start to, yeah. Now the problem is that a lot of animals who eat grass start to reproduce, okay,
Right.
without any balance.
Right.
And then what happened? Yeah, we had a lot of Bambis, okay, but the problem is that without grass there was not insects, and then they have a lot of problem with land, because the land didn't have grass, didn't have plants, didn't have um, then the trees doesn't grow,
Right.
and what happened at the end with the land? Erosion.
Right.
Okay, and then the problem is with rivers,
Right.
and then affects the farms. Okay, just to take the wall outside the park. So suddenly someone, okay, start to study, and they saw the issue, that because of the progressive man, okay, they put a bad name to the world. But God created everything perfect, okay, because it was good, not really perfect. It was good. So they returned back to Yellowstone, to the wolves, and what happened after many years? Then the balance returned back to Yellowstone. Okay,
Yes.
so uh, in this way, uh, we can see how the man can unbalance the planet.
Right.
And this is a very perfect example of what the Torah is saying to the man: serve to the land, and guard the land.
Mhm.
Okay? The men administrate to take out of the formula the wolves, and that was unbalanced.
Right.
They return back, and now we have a balance.
Right.
So the man can administrate the garden, in this case, Yellowstone.
Right.
So can you imagine now the garden of of Eden, of Eden. And so God did not put the man to work on the land. He said, okay, you are the administrator. Put the walls where is needed. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Uh, so so that is a little bit different about the understanding. Okay. Because it was very clear. And even I can tell you truly that when we go to the heaven before the Creator, okay, uh, he one of the question, according to the sages, God will ask, is the first commandment in the Torah. Did you eat all the fruits of the land? Okay, of the earth. That is the first commandment. It's not about he said, eat of every fruit in, of the garden. So, oh, and I have a lot of problems with that. Okay, God is not saying, did you taste all the cookies and chocolates and no all the coffee and things like that, all the Coca-Colas and sodas? No, He will ask you, did you eat my fruit? That is so deeply, okay. And then he put in behind this, it was something beyond, which is spiritual, okay. And this is the balance between serve to develop our capacity to grow, to cultivate, to and then the other capacity is to shomer, to keep, to guard, to take care. Okay. Um, and it's interesting that that at the beginning God didn't say those words to serve and to shomer. Okay. At the beginning was Rada, okay, to subdue and to dominate. Okay. But after the man had the capacity to know the good and evil, okay, when they eat the fruit forbidden, that by the way is not an apple tree, okay, uh, then the is like, okay, you already have the knowledge. And sometimes it is very deep what what those verse is talking, okay, with the falling of the man. First is that he named to his wife Hava or Eve, and because it's like before God said she is a female, okay, but after he got the knowledge, now it's Hava. And,
I don't
and
understand. I don't
yeah,
understand.
yeah, it's interesting because you know he ate, and then appears the name of Eve. Okay, it's like now I know she's Eve. Before that, for me was just it's like Adam. It's not really a name. It's clay. Is uh and but it's like he got the knowledge, and when a person got the knowledge, now he has the capacity to cultivate. Okay, he has the capacity to work. And then God said, okay, now you're gonna work, you're gonna call this capacity, but now you have to care. So God really what he commanded the man is to create, but to care, to exercise and to guard. In this equilibrium is like I'm gonna tell this with Gevurah power, okay, exercise your Gevurah, your dominion, your power, but show Hesed, okay, so
Mercy.
uh mercy, show kindness, okay.
Right.
In in this equilibrium is very difficult because people trying to say, oh, everything is Hesed. Yeah, but without Gevurah,
Right. Right.
it's barren, okay.
Become woke.
And yeah, and from the other side, a lot of Gevurah without Hesed.
You
What's the
become a
problem? We destroy everything.
right.
Okay, because we become oriented to objectives and not oriented to men. To at the end, everything that we are doing is for ourselves. Okay, we lost the purpose of the man, and and then is in this imbalance. Okay, we can start to see first Cain. Uh, it says about Kenan that he goes to the field and he exercises Geburah, he cultivates, but he didn't care.
No,
Okay? So at the end, what happened? He started to see
Sorry,
his,
how do you know that he didn't care?
because he's
yeah, because
rejected.
it says
No, I know
in
God
the
rejected it, but
yeah,
but you think it's because
but at the end, yeah, but at the end, if we read the verses in Genesis, it only says that he cultivates. Okay, it doesn't say that he cares. Okay,
so he didn't
that's a
guard, he
different.
just
But on the other side about Abel, it says that he cares about the flock. Okay, so it's behind what is saying there was an imbalance. I'm not saying that literally, but at the end, um, obviously, okay, is the very same principle that on at the beginning God commanded to Adam and Eve. Okay, so what happened to to Cain? Okay, he killed his brother. A lot of keburah, but no hesed. And on the other side, what happened to Abel? Okay, he had a lot of hesed, but he never cultivated and he didn't have kids. Okay, so at least it's not
That,
registered.
that part I don't
He was
understand.
barren.
Sorry, that
Yeah,
part I don't understand because God accepted his offering.
yeah, he accepted his offering. But if we read at the Bible, it doesn't say, oh, the descendants of Abel are and ta 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 ta.
Well, he
Doesn't say that
couldn't have
is
any.
not registered.
He was dead. He couldn't have any descendants.
Yeah, he was barren.
He was barren. Well, he was beyond barren. Yeah,
Yeah, a young barren. And you know, at that time, people start to have kids very young. I
that's true.
mean,
Yeah,
and so, uh, but the point is probably beyond of what is written is a principle. Okay,
right,
a lot of Hesed produce barren.
right,
Okay, a lot of Geburah destruction.
right,
Okay,
right,
so and then we start to see the man at the Tower of Babel. It's the very same principle. Okay, what happened to these persons? Oh, we want to create a tower. Okay, Geburah cultivate producing, okay? But without Hesed, what happened? The confusion, of all the language of the languages. On the other side, people before Noah, what happened to this person? It says that the man in woman they corrupted. They start to grow. They start to have power. In the problem with knowledge, because that's what happens. A lot of knowledge. Okay, they start forgetting about God and what happened at the end, the flood, which means destruction. So on the other side, we see, for example, Noah, a man with a lot of kisses. Okay, he cares of the animals that God sent to the ark. And now God commanded to Noah the very same words that God commanded to Adam. Okay, care and exercise power. Okay, cultivate and have dominion and subdue the. And what happened to this Noah? The problem is that he was unbalanced too for himself. The very first thing he said is that he planted a vineyard. Okay, and then he didn't guard himself from the vineyard. And what happened? He got drunk. And what happened is that destruction. Okay. In you know, after few years, I would say, now the land is already growing with a lot of knowledge, but without God. Okay. So right now is coming the destruction. And this is the part for what is very important, Abraham. Okay. Because he came to restore the order that God commanded at the beginning. He was a personification of two of these characteristics. Okay. He exercised a lot of chesed to person.
Who are you talking
No.
about? Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, yeah.
Who?
What I'm saying to Abraham,
Oh,
okay.
Abraham.
Why is so important, Abraham?
Yes.
Why? Because he started to exercise a lot of chesed,
Right.
okay, at the moment which Nimrod supposedly is ruling the world, according to the Midrashim, obviously. Uh, but this is a component that he creates something new. But also we can see Abraham exercising Geburah, for example, when he went to the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah to 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 fight.
Right.
Okay, so he had the balance,
Right.
Chesed
Right.
and Geburah,
Right.
to cultivate and to care.
Right.
So that is something important, Abraham. So is the very first person registered by the Torah to exercise the commandment. Okay. And not necessarily in agriculture, obviously he was a farmer, but he cared of flock. But it doesn't say that he cultivated the land. Probably he did, but that the point is not about that. It's the principles of the rules that God commanded to them. So when I finish this study, okay, I'm just wondering that the world is looking, uh, and probably that's why the Mayans were distracted. Okay, because they care a lot of things, okay, and they were barren, okay.
Right. Interesting.
And then we go to the Incas. They exercise a lot of Geburah. They were very, they kill a lot of persons. They took hearts alive. You know, they were very, very tough men. And now the problem without exercising Kessel, they disappear too.
Right. Oh,
And this is something about the Israel people today. Yeah, Israel is fighting inside. Some request for Hesed, another said Gibura. Okay, but while one side and the other side is manifesting, they are giving balance. From outside, we can think, oh, they are fighting inside. Yes, that is a fight. That's the point. But they are exercising both commandments. Uh, and probably a person without Torah could not understand this
right.
because the world today is really going to these two sides. Okay, from one side, politically talking, the left persons claim a lot of hesed. Okay, oh, full of this, full of that. Oh, for example, this man has killed 20 persons, but care of this man because he he was abused when he was young, so do not send him to jail and things like that. Okay, and that is what happened with this Ukrainian girl at North Carolina in the train. Okay, uh, 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 judge applied Hessel. Okay, and what happened? Destruction. Okay, he killed a young woman. That is something very sad. And on the other side, also, okay, we can see how uh, how also from the right right side, okay, some people could exercise also oppression, okay, in the name of justice.
Right.
Sorry, they operate what in the name of justice?
A lot of supposedly oppression, you take person, for example, at the military times in El Salvador. I remember the person who stole, for example, a hen. They were at jail 10 years.
Right.
That is not right.
No, no.
So, so that's is something that you cannot put the same value. You know, 10 years for one hen is not right. No,
No.
make him go to work. That is what the Torah says. Okay, send that man to work, and he paid a hand. So he will learn to work and to buy, and you will save that man. That is what the Torah says. It's not exercising. That is why for us it's ten executive dog. Okay, and this is really about the first Sedek. Yeah, exercise Geburah, but also look for justice for Hesed. Okay, so so for me it was very deep, and because all this thing is since the beginning. I mean, and probably when we start to read, we lost, okay, the meaning of the portion and the purpose of the man in the world. So, just to say that. uh, God put the man to guard the earth, to administrate the earth. Yes, to taste everything God put inside. Okay, but uh, but the man, you know, uh, do not understand really what the Torah is saying. Okay, and that is a problem. And you know, for me, I've been thinking about this because uh, sometimes I must have to admit that I have a balance in my life.
Don't we?
Sometimes I want to exercise too much Hesed, and sometimes I exercise too much Geburah. And you know, when we cannot administrate our own land, okay, we ourselves, uh, how can we have dominion over animals, over the planet?
Right.
We won't. So, um, and that is the you know, probably you need to read carefully. I would say, you know, with time, probably you need, because it was very hard for me to extract, I would say, okay, because when sometimes when I was hearing that man, it was like I saw a lot of faces, okay, and everyone was like agreed, okay,
Right.
because it's very easy to fall on this,
Because what?
and
Sorry. Because what?
they were agreed about, he was saying, oh, the Judaism, the Judeo-Christian tradition is against environment, okay,
Right.
but it honestly it was not. It honestly is more complete, I would say. Uh, the equilibrium is, you know, there's a concept that uh, Paul talk about. He was talking about the first Adam and the second Adam. Okay, I don't know if you have heard about it.
Yes.
Uh, but but I also been thinking about this because is God is giving that responsibility to Adam, all of us, humankind. Okay, we made a mistake. We need to fix the problem of created by the first Adam. In the point is, in for me, the renewed Adam, okay, or the second Adam, is not really about Jesus. I like Christians think.
Right.
It, the point is that if, for example, first Mauricio, probably without Torah, made a lot of mistakes. Now the second Mauricio, okay, he needs to fix what he did.
Right.
So, in you know, in also something that really calls my attention is that there are similarities between all the believings these of these persons. For example, all of them believe that we come from the clay, as well as the Torah teach.
Hmm.
And it's interesting because you know, Israel is very far away, and on that time, the men in America or at Central America or at South America, they were very far to know about Torah. Okay,
Right.
and also uh, they have the very same understanding that someone else higher than them create everything.
Hmm. They had that
They,
understanding, but they didn't.
yeah, they have that understand.
Yes.
Okay, in you know that in they also have the some moral, I would say some morals values.
Yeah, God,
Okay,
God implanted it in our hearts.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and that is something also very interesting because you know um eh, sometimes I have a lot of problem with that. How can God put a man very far from the knowledge of the Torah?
Mhm.
And but that's a point for another discussion. But at the end, that reveals itself. That is something that I really believe, uh, because I cannot understand how, but I have heard a lot of people that came to the knowledge of God without knowing nothing about Torah. How? I don't know. It's like Abraham. Abraham, how he could know Torah, okay? But was implanted in himself. At that time, Torah was not written yet. So,
You
uh,
know, he said something here in the Haftarah that I read this morning, where it said, I, God, have called you in righteousness and have taken hold of your hand, guarded you, and appointed you as a covenant people to be Or Goyim, light to the nations, to open blind eyes, to release the prisoners from confinement, and those who sit in darkness from the dungeon. And I always thought, well, I've been learning more and more that we can't open blind eyes. It's only God who can open blind eyes. But here it seems to be saying something else. What do you think about that?
well, blind. Okay, there are a lot of blind people who sees. Okay, so yes, it could be something that God can use you to you know. I have seen a lot of miracles. Okay, in my life. I can see how people almost dead have been, you know, risen, and and and, and I can understand that. But for me, it's something beyond because yes, we can have people who doesn't see, okay, who doesn't have Torah. Uh, we are called to open their eyes, their spiritual eyes, their understanding.
Right.
That is for me is more related to that. People who cannot hear, they are not deaf physically,
Right.
but the ears are really closed.
Right.
Okay, so God is calling you to open the ear, spiritual ears. That is the understanding that in you know but God is what he's saying is you are Orlegoyim, okay? You are light to the nations. In at the end, um, when we are light, okay, okay. If we live and we can see this from this parasha, at the beginning doesn't exist light,
Right.
but what happened when light appears? Suddenly something start to grow naturally, okay? Light. Without light, animals cannot exist, plants cannot exist, um, time cannot exist, and things like that. So uh, that is when we are light to the world, then people could see what is happening around them, and because it's like when you are in darkness, then you start to light something, then you can see what is inside that room or that place around you. So it's not really that when you are in complete darkness. I don't know if you have been inside, for example, inside a forest in very dark night, but sometimes you can open your hand and you put in front of your face, you cannot see your hand,
Wow.
okay, because it's very dark.
Mm.
And then you open a light, and now you can see your hand, but
Mm.
it's not because you were a blind person.
Right.
It
Right.
was because you were into a very darkness, okay, in night. And so God is calling us to be that light
Yeah.
inside the darkness.
Right.
You made me a question yesterday. Why God put first, okay, the night and then the light, in now in Judaism or in to Israel, and
A
was
day.
order
A day begins.
day night. Day not begins with light.
Right. Right.
And you know, this is a very deep and profound meaning, because uh, we as Occidental values, okay, for us the calendar starts with the beginning of the light and end at darkness.
Right. Right.
For Judaism, biblical Judaism, the day starts at night and ends in light.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because what God creates first, the darkness,
Yeah.
and then He creates light. Okay, and that is a very deep meaning, because in our lives sometimes we come from chaos, and then we go to light. We come from darkness, and then we go to light.
Right.
And this is the adjustment in life. Sometimes we live in a very dark place, surrounded by a lot of darkness. But at the end, the 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 day of the persons who are righteous uh, ends with light. So
I thought
that's
also,
probably,
yeah, I
yeah,
thought also of a baby when it is in conception. It's the
yeah,
life begins, it begins in darkness. It's in darkness for 9 months, and then it comes into the light.
yeah.
Yeah.
That is the beginning. So darkness precedes light.
Yeah. Interesting. That's beautiful. Mauricio, thank you. That was a very deep, profound message, and thank you for your clarification. Sometimes I don't know if you know, I if everybody can understand, without this part of the explanation, it goes so much together with the message. And both of them are very important. So thank you for your message on Bereshit. And Miriam, did you have anything? Does anyone have anything else to say on this?
Well, pretty much has been talked about already. I have to read it over again, but
Yeah.
just the idea, just quickly, the idea of balance and how we are a microcosm of Eden. That I really like that we are a microcosm. But I wrote something down. Well, again, the whole idea that one of the things that the Western world has misinterpreted about the Bible, like it's about Bereshit, is about the idea of dominate being, it's become something that you see it in every aspect of nature. We are supposed to be stewards and to take care of it but not to dominate it. Like even now when people tell me about, they don't eat meat anymore. I mean, you have to be balanced. I eat meat, but that doesn't mean the way animals are killed is right. We've taken that provision of meat for our lives, which is a good thing. And what happens in abattoirs apparently is horrific, not because they're killing the animal. There's a lot of terrible things that happen. So we've made we've undid the balance in so many ways.
Yeah, but I've heard that many of those have been changed, that they're much
No,
better.
thank God. Yeah, I hope that's well, maybe because of that woman with what's her name? She
Yeah,
did a lot of good with that.
exactly.
Because her whole thing, the woman with Asperger's, which they don't call, anyway, the impetus for a lot of what her stuff was with animals was not because she was thinking, I want meat and I want to kill animals. Her impetus was her love of animals.
Right.
She grew up in her best relationships because of her difficulty with interpersonal relationships, because of her autism. She loved animals. So her motive was to not to abolish meat eating, that wasn't her mandate, but to make it so that it was easier. It was not the way you saw in abattoirs for so many years. But I guess like that's the whole idea of the balance and the idea of other cultures that who also they know that there's a greater creator, etc., but they've upset the whole balance and they see that, for example, the wind and the earth has its own spirit when really you have to attribute it's God who's outside of time and outside of his creation, and the creation isn't God. God is outside of all of that.
Right.
But
And when we see what you said, Mauricio, about the imbalance between Chesed and Gevurah, also the
I
power.
forget Givara. What was a good translation of that?
Power.
Ah,
Power.
right. That's what I thought. Right,
Gabor.
right.
Well, when we see people who are voted into government, and so many of them come in, they're politicians, but they have no idea what they're doing, and they could destroy cities. It's happening right here in our own province. When they put things, all this chesed above, they use their power to just bring everything into imbalance. It's just horrible what they
It's
do.
like the wolves, like what you're saying about the wolves.
Exactly.
Take out all the wolves.
Yeah. So that was a beautiful, beautiful message. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, again for joining our service. Let us just um, keep thinking about these things. Believe it or not, one of the things this morning that I was praying about, that this message has helped me a lot with, is about the balance between um, a- having a tough hand, taking a tough stance, and having kindness and mercy. Because it just happened to me this week. I was sent a picture of a bunch of young girls who were going to a dance in the United States, and they looked beautiful. But what I saw looking at them was their skirts were so short. I mean, beyond anything that even I used to wear when we were kids. The mini skirts was like in my generation, the mini skirts came out back in the 60s. These were short
Oh,
mini skirts. So Brian
not good right now. Gotta straighten out my thing here.
Brian, sorry. Anyway, but somebody else looked at them and said, "Oh, look how beautiful they are. Oh, you look so gorgeous." And I thought the first thing I saw was the skirts were too short. And if they bent over, oh my goodness. But again, you have to be in balance. I mean, I don't sometimes know how to be in balance, but I have to learn to be kind instead of immediately looking at you know what I'm saying? It's like I don't know sometimes how to react because I'm thinking that it's just too much.
I think it's not only, there's balance is also in modified, let's say, by graciousness.
Yes,
Like it's how you respond. Let's say you met those girls,
yes.
and if the first thing was judgment and that
Right.
might turn them off totally. It's just it's how you bring it up and how you talk about it in the context. Otherwise, you become what appears to, not you, but one becomes
Judgmental.
extremist without it. So to me, it's more how than what. Yes, it's true the skirts were too short, but you'd have to address the whole context, because then it looks legalistic. Oh,
Yeah.
you're a prude, they might say, you're a prude, and da, da, da. And if you take a holistic approach and anyway, it's how you approach it rather than what.
Exactly. Well, pray for me because I've been given a personality, a character that God gave me. Remember when we did the disc, where I'm very very direct, very strong in how I look at things. And I have to learn that softness, the graciousness that does not come naturally for me. And yet in other times I'm just too lenient, not strong enough. So it's such a difficult walk that we.
Maybe more than graciousness, because you could be direct and firm and all those things. It's beyond personality. It's what's the battle at the moment? When you see those girls, okay, and you have to see the whole context. If they're just every aspect of them is rebellious, it's not just the skirt.
No,
It's
style.
no, I'm saying, but you have to pick your battle, and to me, Charlie Kirk was a good example of balance,
Yeah.
because he was able to. You have to pick the priority in that whole thing and apply a more general world picture to that, rather than just saying, oh, why is your skirt? If they don't have any idea of God or what the world is all about, you're just becoming an old biddy who's picking on their skirt. That's all I'm saying. It's not so much graciousness. It's what's below all of that stuff that maybe that you could talk about.
Right. Which is why I said nothing, but I had to examine my heart. I know what's going on inside me. So
No, exactly.
that's
I mean, there's a place their parents should, I think it should start at home.
yes.
When young girls go out of the house like that, I think the father especially, but the parents there should be a culture in the household that deals with that.
Exactly. That's very true. Anyway, all right. We'll say goodbye for today. Enjoy the rest of Shabbat.
Hello.
Yes, Brian.
The rabbi, I told the rabbi that and with Moses, all the people were together, not like this, not where they had their women separate. And this is good, he said.
I don't understand what you mean.
I told the rabbi we're supposed to be sitting together, no separation from male and female, because I told him that in the movie, God showed us what we were, and we were together, men and women, together at the synagogue, at the house of the Lord.
They do it to protect themselves because they don't want to be distracted by the women. That's why.
But that's usually, but that time we all stood together like we used to have in our congregation.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What did he say to you?
This good, something else.
Exactly. Well, you
I
can
have it on tape.
yeah. So Shabbat Shalom, Moshe. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Wonderful rest of the day. And God willing, we'll see you next week. And that's it. Have a wonderful evening, wonderful day.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Bye-bye.